Okay, let's talk about heavy industry. The machines that power your entire operation, they're your biggest assets, right? But what if they're also your biggest hidden liability? In this explainer, we're going to break down how to choose the right motor and gearbox so you can maximize reliability and seriously slash your long-term costs. I want you to just think about that constant hum of your conveyor belts, your pumps, your mixers. That sound, that's the sound of energy being used. But what if a huge chunk of that energy is just turning into waste heat, driving up your bills and, wearing down your equipment? That right there, that's the hidden cost of inefficiency. In any industry that's running continuously, the stakes are just incredibly high. That hidden cost we just talked about, it's not some small expense. The decision you make on a motor or a gearbox is a massive financial one. It shows up in your energy bills for sure, but even more critically, it shows up in the crippling cost of unplanned downtime. So where do we even start? Well, the first piece of this whole puzzle is the motor itself. Let's take a look at the giant leap forward that we get with the modern IE4 or super premium efficiency standard, especially when you stack it up against older, less efficient models. So what we're looking at here is pretty simple physics, actually. IE4 motors are just designed to be way better at turning electricity into motion. Less of that energy gets wasted as heat, which means they run a lot cooler. And that's not just a minor detail. That lower temperature is the secret sauce for a longer, much more reliable life for your equipment. And this, of course, all translates into a real-world impact. You're going to see noticeable savings on your electricity bills, especially if you're running 24/7. But maybe more importantly, less heat stress means fewer breakdowns, and that directly cuts down on unplanned downtime and stretches out the productive life of your entire system. All right, so we've got our super efficient motor, but that motor's power has to get transferred to your machine, and that's the gearbox's job. This is the other half of the equation, and believe me, the choice you make here is just as critical. It usually comes down to two main types, the worm gearbox and the helical gearbox. This table really breaks it down. See, the main difference is how the gears actually mesh together. Worm gearboxes use a sliding contact, kind of like dragging something heavy, which creates a ton of friction and heat, and that just wastes energy. Helical gearboxes, on the other hand, use a rolling contact, where the gears mesh and roll smoothly against each other. It's way more efficient and lets them handle much higher loads while running cooler. So for any heavy-duty, continuous job, yeah, the choice is pretty clear. Helical is just engineered for endurance. So now it's time to put it all together. We've seen how good the IE4 motor is, and we know the strengths of the helical gearbox. Let's combine them to build the undisputed champion for these tough, heavy-duty jobs. Here is it, the winning formula. First, you start with that efficient, cool-running IE4 motor. Second, you pair it with a durable, high-capacity helical gearbox. Third, and this is important, you combine them into a single integrated unit. That guarantees perfect alignment. And then, the final crucial touch, you add a variable frequency drive, or a VFD. This gives you precise control over the motor's speed, which cuts down on mechanical stress when it starts up and squeezes out even more energy savings while it's running. And hey, you don't have to just take my word for it. Industry experts confirm this exact setup. This combination isn't just a good idea. It's the recommended standard for getting high efficiency, a long service life, and, at the end of the day, a lower total cost of ownership. And that brings us to what I think is the most important takeaway from this whole thing. It's so easy to just focus on the initial price tag of a piece of equipment, but that is a classic trap that can end up costing you a fortune down the road. So here's the crucial point. That sticker price is just the very beginning of the story. The real cost of a motor and gearbox is calculated over its entire life cycle. It includes the energy it's eating up every single day, the maintenance it needs, and, most critically, the cost of lost production when it fails. A cheaper, inefficient unit will almost always cost you more in the long run. No question. So as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. When you make your next equipment decision, what are you really optimizing for? Are you solving for today's budget, or are you investing in tomorrow's reliability and profitability? The choice, ultimately, is yours.